Now, it's not just Occupy Wall Street. It's Occupy a lot more than that. The movement has spread across the country. It's inspired people to occupy cities from Los Angeles to Chicago, Boston, Denver, and Seattle, all in protest. Demonstrations are also expected in Phoenix, San Francisco, and here in Washington, D.C. in the coming days, too. RT's Ramon Galindo was at Occupy Los Angeles over the weekend, where he said more than 1,000 people showed up and hundreds camped out. Listen to what one of those protesters said.
The purpose of it and the points that people are standing behind are worth a revolution. I think it's worth it. Whether we'll be able to do that or not is up to everyone who's here.
So she's talking about revolution, and earlier I caught up with Ramon and asked him if this protest struck him as a flash-in-the-pan, one-time kind of demonstration, or if he got the feeling that this could turn into something bigger, like the woman he interviewed said.
Well, Lauren, I had this conversation with many of the people at this protest, and many shared the same sentiments as that young woman, that this could be something that just prompts a revolution here in America, whether that's a peaceful revolution, preferably from these protesters who were peaceful. But a lot of people are still unsure. I mean, it seems like there's still some fear over whether people should stand up. But what we're seeing is that this Occupy Wall Street protest, it's going nationwide. It's not just happening in Los Angeles and New York. It's happening in over 100 cities now. I mean, there's going to be demonstrations in D.C., in Los Angeles throughout this week, and in over 100 cities in America. It seems like this Occupy Wall Street sentiment is really gravitating. So whether we'll see a revolution like that young woman said, it is going to be up to the people. But obviously, it is a very strong movement that a lot of people can't stand behind.
And as you're talking about a growing movement, some of the protesters we've seen and I know I've seen them in New York, I don't know if they were in LA too, they had signs saying American Spring, comparing this to what we've seen in the Arab Spring. And even on Occupy Wall Street's website, they say that they're inspired by what we've seen in the Arab world and the revolutions there. Did people talk about that in LA?
Oh, most definitely, Lauren. Now, a lot of the people that I talked to, you mentioned the Middle East, a lot of the people got their inspiration from the protesters in Greece who see austerity measures just eroding their way of life. And people talked about Egypt, talked about Tunisia, and the similar problems that those people were facing when it comes to economic suppression, social suppression, civil rights, things of that nature. And they see the similar problems happening here in America, perhaps not to the same degree, yet these people see that these problems are global, and they really draw a lot of inspiration from this. And those are the types of people that really do see this as a possibility of an American revolution happening here.
It's really interesting. With something possibly that big, I'm curious, I know you were out there, we're covering this, but what kind of media attention is this getting in LA from the mainstream? I know today, at least from what I can see on the TVs, they seem to be most fascinated by the trial of Michael Jackson's doctor.
Well, that's right, Lauren. Over the weekend, the demonstrations here got minimal coverage. Some of the news outlets kind of downplayed the numbers and downplayed the significance of it. We saw a little bit more coverage of it today, that people are actually camping out, but it seems like the media is only fixated on the Michael Jackson or on the Conrad Murray trial, the doctor who is accused of killing Michael Jackson. I mean, we see media from all over the world, yet right across the street there are hundreds of people camped out, which no one is paying attention to. But it appears that the more that they stay camped out there, the media will not be able to ignore them. And even then, just this morning, while reporters from across the country were trying to do their live reports on the Conrad Murray trial, we saw the Occupy Los Angeles demonstrators march down to the courthouse, and with their chants, they drowned out the live reports of reporters from CNN and the local affiliates here in Los Angeles. So even if the mainstream media refuses to pay attention to the message, refuses to pay attention to this movement, it appears that the Occupy Wall Street protesters and those showing solidarity with Occupy Wall Street are definitely letting their voices be heard.
That's one way to do it. Just jump in front of another reporter's live shot if you feel like you're not getting attention. That was RT correspondent Ramon Galindo.